My childhood was maybe unusual for some people. I grew up in a family of ocean explorers, and as such, I grew up looking at the world from the bottom up. I started scuba diving from my 4th birthday. I've been on expeditions since I was 7, and it gives me a much greater appreciation for the ocean or the water part of our world and how it plays into our future trajectory.
Fabien Cousteau is the grandson of famed ocean explorer Jacques Cousteau, and he is continuing his family legacy with his own exploration of the ocean waters. And now he's taking that one step further by building a habitat under the ocean that can be the undersea version of the International Space Station, a place where science can be done while people live and work for weeks, possibly even months at a time.
Having Jacques Cousteau as my grandfather was no big deal. I didn't realize that he was a world icon for decades before I came into existence. For me, this grandfather of mine was an inspiration, like most grandfathers are, by sharing stories and adventures and information and really being a grandfather. The first time I had an actual experience in an underwater habitat, which was Aquarius, was in 2012. That really gave me the inspiration to execute Mission 31 a couple of years later out of Aquarius, since it was the only habitat available, and now to develop the next fin step in ocean research as far as underwater platforms are concerned.
These types of underwater habitats are largely non-existent today. While many were built between the 1960s and 1980s, the one major remaining underwater research facility is Aquarius, currently operated by Florida International University. Cousteau plans to rectify this by building Proteus, a multi-million-dollar modular research station off the coast of Curaçao in the Caribbean Sea.
Proteus is slated to be the International Space Station underwater. And with that, it addresses all the advantages and knowledge that have been the baseline of ocean habitats in the past, and addressing all the shortcomings up until now. We're now able to incorporate state-of-the-art undersea laboratories as well as living stations to cater to long-term research, which simply hasn't been possible before.
Proteus is slated to be roughly 10 times larger than any other research habitat that came before it. While most have been roughly the size of, say, a Winnebago or a school bus, Proteus would be the size of a large suburban home. It's also modular, so it can be upgraded and expanded in a multitude of ways.
That allows us to install several state-of-the-art laboratories, a med bay so that we can address any kind of emergency, a hydroponics area so we can grow some of our own food and we can experiment with that. We're breathing 3 times the amount of gas with every breath that we take than we do on the surface because that air is so much denser and more syrupy. That allows for things like quicker healing, but does that allow for things like quicker growing of foods? We don't know, and we'd like to experiment with that as one of the many, many experiments. We'd also like to dive in deeper into the biochemistry that is out there as the chemical soup of our ocean that's been so very little explored, so that we can address things like viral pandemics, like cancer, like pain mitigators and such. And the only way we can do that is having a very cohesive human technology interface that works together to bring about all that information.
Cousteau's nonprofit organization is looking to raise about $135 million to build this habitat and fund its first 3 years of operation. Part of those costs will be offset by pharmaceutical companies, universities, or other research groups renting the time on the facility to get the work done, either by sending divers and scientists to live on the station or by having those working on the station run experiments on their behalf.
I think investment in conservation, investment in research is actually a very good opportunity to put your money in for the greater good, of course, but also for a very tangible ROI. People like Ray Dalio have been quoted as saying it's a much more worthy investment than space exploration.
This type of modular habitat under the ocean has never been done before. But a lot of the pieces of the technology are decades old, And by putting all the pieces together, it will create a new and innovative habitat. And that's where I imagine a lot of their challenges will come from.
This project draws me because it conjures up fantasy meets reality. It's the kind of vision and platform that hopefully will initiate the next fin step in ocean exploration and the next step in the dreamers and doers of tomorrow to do better than we've done.